Good Friday morning, Market Chameleons. Everyone join us for the first time. Thanks for coming by and checking out the Market Chameleon pre-market show. Before we get started, please take a look at the shared disclaimer. Be aware that neither Market Chameleon, Dimitri, or myself are registered investment advisors or a broker dealer. If you're searching for investment advice, please reach out to a licensed professional. This show, as all our shows, are for informational purposes only concerning Market Chameleon tools and products. With that, good morning, D.
Good morning, Will. How are you?
Great.
So let me share my screen here. And if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Will and I, we do these shows in the morning to try to help answer questions you may have about the Market Chameleon tools, the data, or the analytics. If you have a question, type it into the live chat on YouTube. Will's keeping an eye on it. He'll let me know if any come in, read them back to me. And to give you a couple minutes to put those questions in, we're going to review our pre-market report to see if we get insights, what's going on in the pre-market hours, and then we will move on to our questions. So let's start out over here, pre-market report. You could see up top, we have this calendar view with summary statistics, what happened in the pre-market hours on those particular dates. And this allows you to quickly scan and eyeball uh, today to compare the most recent history to today's activity to see if anything unusual pops up or a trend. We're going to review today's activity, October 4th, over here. As you could see, there are 686 stocks that are trading higher in the pre-market so far, 222 stocks lower. We have 228 million shares traded on up volume, 67 on down volume, and we have $4.5 billion worth of stock trading higher, $570 million worth of stock trading lower. So from that perspective, it looks like we are setting up for a more bullish bias in the pre-market trading. Let's scroll down the page a little bit and look at it from a couple of different perspectives. As you can see now, we get this more granular view. We see stock symbols with price changes, and volume. We also have our most active stocks, our biggest percentage gainers and biggest percentage decliners list. Down here, we have 124 stocks that are made our biggest percentage gainers list, 30 on our biggest decliners. So from that perspective, it also looks like the trading in the pre-market hours has a bullish bias. And you know, we talk about this every day. We've reviewed it more, that trading in the pre-market hours can consist of very low volume, low liquidity. So we have our own thresholds that we placed to make it onto this initial list. And if it meets those minimum requirements, it could make it onto this list, but that will include small cap stocks. It includes ETFs. It could be a leverage ETF or inverse ETF. You know, any security could even be a preferred stock or a right. So to narrow this list further, we could use the filters above. And we talk about these two filters. One is in my watch list, and what this filter does is it allows you to save a watch list. It's your own unique watch list that you give it a name with stock symbols and you save it. Could be, you know, 10, 20, 30 stocks that you're tracking. And then you could filter out this list using your watch list. And if it meets the conditions, those stocks meet the conditions, it will appear on this list. So we're going to just use this one in ETF in our example because this is already out of the box filter. When you click on it, you get these different ETFs to choose from. And we're going to go ahead in our example and just click on the first one, SPY. But you could see these are broad-based ETFs and sector ETFs. So if we click on SPY, the list below will get filtered by stocks that are holding. You know, let me refresh my screen here. I think I had it open too long. One sec, guys. I'm going to refresh my screen and do that filter again. So this in ETF, let's pick SPY. So here we go. When we did that, you see now we got a new filtered list, and these are stocks that are holdings in the SPY ETF. So SPY is the S&P 500 ETF, follows the S&P 500 index, and these are S&P 500 constituents. So it's kind of like having a S&P 500 watch list, right? And then filtering it by that. And here we see 51 stocks made it onto our biggest percentage gainers list and one on our decliners list. And that also points to a more bullish bias in the pre-market trading activity. Well, we gave it a couple minutes. I will take questions now if you have, or you're on mute.
Sorry, I was having a little bit of a sneezing episode. Nothing's popped up yet, D.
Okay. So let's go to.
Can I share my screen before you go to the screen you're going to share?
Okay.
All right. There you go.
Okay.
Everyone take one last look at the disclaimer before D goes to his screen. All right. You can go to the screen now.
Yep. Let me share my screen here. And we're on SPY, since we don't have a question, maybe we'll come back and review let's look at the single leg dashboard screen. And if a question pops up, will let me know. We'll take those questions. So I'm on the leg dashboard. I'm going to close this menu here. And we did talk about this before, but I'll just review it again. This particular report is looking at the options trades in SPY. So you can see there's over 7 million contracts that traded. And it's isolating just those options trades that were single leg trades. They were not part of a multi-leg trade or contingent trade. And then we're taking those, putting them in their own bucket, and then performing analysis on just those trades, right? So because we have multi-leg trades, but multi-leg trades can be part of a spread, like a call spread, put spread, butterfly. It could be custom, complex order. Contingent trades, we did talk about those that involve another leg that may not be an option in the same underlying. Usually it's a stock component. So if you do a trade and you want a hedge with a stock, you could enter in a contingent trade that way. So those are taking out those multi-leg and contingent trades and looking only at the trades that were reported on the tape as just a single leg trade. So then what we do is, we'll look at it from different perspectives, because there's no one way to analyze it. We could analyze it in different ways. We could analyze, the volume. We could separate it in calls and the puts. We could separate it into, at the money options, out of the money options. A lot of different ways to analyze it, and these are breaking it down in different ways, different examples of how to analyze, some of these options. It's not limited to this, but here are some of the ways to get better insights how people are using these options. Here we see that 6.5 million contracts in SPY were single leg trades, and if we compared it to the 7.6, you can see not all the trades were single leg trades, but the vast majority were. They were just entered in as buy, sell, call, or put. the breakdown of the calls versus puts is 47% were calls, 53% were puts. So a little bit more put volume than call volume. But still close to 50-50. Then we look at the order flow and we try to get a sense of, is the order flow that's incoming, if we just took the contracts, the volume, and we interpreted it, does it look like the order flows incoming more towards the buy side or sell side? Right? Does it look like it's more premium, trying to buy premium in options, sell premium? And this gives us a breakdown that it's close to, yesterday it looks like it was close to 50-50. And again, these are our interpretations. When we look at options, there's certain information that we get. And there's certain information that we don't get, but we could try to make inferences based on, our analysis of that information. And when you look at the trade tape, it doesn't tell you, well, this person bought and this person sold on this trade, right? It just gives you a trade. So what do you do with that? With when you look at these trades, and if a common question usually you get from traders is when you try to figure out what's going on, is are people buying options? Are they selling options? Which options are they buying? What prices are they buying? What prices are they selling? Who's trying to buy? Who's trying to sell? These are just common questions because you want to understand the landscape, what's going on. What are people doing? Who's doing what, and so forth. But if we don't know, we'd have to try to run it through some kind of model to help us make interpretations, and like, for example, if I see the stock price of $572.80 in SPY, and yesterday it closed at 567.82, well, now I have two reference points, right? Yesterday it closed lower, today it's trading higher. Well, if it's trading higher, that indicates that there's more demand to buy it than sell it, right? Demand supply, right? It's very simple. Demand exceeds supply, then prices go higher. Supply exceeds demand, prices go lower. So here, we could just make an interpretation that, well, given these two numbers, that there are more buyers than sellers, and that's why the price is higher. So similarly, we could try to make some interpretations that way with options trades. But we do need to keep more benchmarks in place because options themselves, they'll move, they're pegged, right? They're a derivative. And derivative means that their values is derived from other values. An option price will move around with the underlying, like SPY, even if it doesn't trade, right? So a call option could be worth more just because the underlying went up, even if it didn't trade at all. It could start out, an option could be valued at $1, and the stock could go up. The value of that option could go to $2 with no trades, right? There's no trades, but the value of it is still higher, because the underlying went higher. But with a stock, you'd have to trade, right? These are the stock itself, that moving it higher would need to trade higher. So actually the SPY might be able to, SPY is actually a derivative itself. So I'm wrong on the ETF. ETF also is a derivative. So given that, we would have to measure, what other benchmarks, because people could be buying calls even as the stock is going lower and the value of the options seem seem to be going lower, but on a relative basis, that the implied volatility could be increasing and so forth. So that's the idea behind there is making those inferences, interpretations based on available data.
Hey, D,
Yeah.
we did have two questions pop in. Rob was asking something concerning M2 money supply. He looks at something called trading economics, and he didn't think we had it, but I just figured I'd ask. Is there any way to look how a stock has moved relative to M2 money supply? And I don't think there's such a feature on our site, but he asked that.
Not that I could think of that, we have it tied to that. Let me just take a look. I'm just gonna look at our economics calendar. And let me just quickly, while I have you guys on here, and just see if that's one of our. You could come into here to look if we do have the, because we do track all these different economic indicators. I don't remember if we have the money supply in here. I'm just scanning it with my eyes right now, but I don't see it in here.
Well, this is where you would search anyways. So
Yeah,
you
this is where
take
you search. Yeah, I'm just eyeballing it really quickly, but I don't see it in here. So maybe we don't. I'll make a note of if it's like an economic indicator we could add to it.
Oh, there you go, Rob. Maybe we can add, and it is an interesting site. Thanks for sharing that, Rob.
Yep.
That's
Okay.
trading. And then we had another question from someone. Hello. How can I filter with the divergence between an oversold RSI and new stock highs? I don't think we have an RSI feature on the site, do we? On the
Yeah,
screen.
no. So yeah, uh, our website itself, it's not a uh, we're options focused, mostly options focused, but when you're focused on options and derivatives, you'd have to analyze the underlying as well. So we do look at, stock analysis, you because you would have to do that anyway. It's the underlying for options. We don't like focus or concentrate on um, stock technical analysis like RSI and so forth. And the reason is that there are already lots of websites that do this that you could access for free anyway. So we try not to use our resources um, for our members for things that they could already get something for free because we were just duplicating that. We're just using resources and duplicating something that you could already get. You could probably get that on Yahoo Finance. Our
Actually, we had this discussion last week, and someone brought up charts, stock charts, right?
Yeah, like
And
stock charts and so forth.
Rob mentioned TradingView. He actually sent us a link because I'm assuming on TradingView they have RSI indicators on their
Right. So they might have, RSI indicators, they may have all these indicators that are just tracking the, trade prices and with charts, and they they exist out there. You could Google and easily find them. There's multiple sources for it. And when that happens, if when we review you know, what what analytics and data should we concentrate on, we we make that decision based on, well, if there's already that information and data easily accessible publicly, to our customers, then we're not adding any extra value. We're just going to duplicate what they could get. And to add value, we try to go for, you know, data and analytics that we think we're adding value to that you can't get somewhere else, right? That would just make sense not to duplicate something. So our that's where, you know, our concentrations are. We do have some stock charts over here that you could see. You know, you could look at quickly, just reference the prices. Let me see down here. We do provide some other charting like sweep trades, dark pool volume. You can see comparing the value versus 20-day moving average. I mean, here's an RSI. I don't know if this helps. So here's a relative strength RSI chart. But if you're really looking for technical analysis, if you're that's what you want.
Well, actually, he said he wants a screen. I bet in the stock screener we even have those somewhere in the stock screener, so he probably can do a screen for what he's looking
do like
for.
a screen for RSI. But you know, just in general, when we get questions like, you know, where your technical analysis charts, I'll say if you're looking for these advanced technical analysis charts, you could find them in other places. I think like even Yahoo Finance probably already provides that type of stuff. You know, we will look deeper into the trade tape. Like we'll start analyzing the granular data on the trade tape. You know, so we'll look at the trade intraday trades. So not just like last price, but we'll look at intraday trades, and then we'll do analysis here. Like over here, you could see here on this under these price action, you know, we will separate the trades into pre-market trading. So you got these sessions. You got the pre-market, that's where we're in right now. You have the opening cross. So the opening cross is that first trade, which is a, you know, single auction trade. Right? So it's just like the specialist takes whatever accumulates in the morning that isn't trading the pre-market once the opening price, match it up and open it up on a single price auction, and then it goes to continuous trading, which is regular hours. You know, then we analyze the regular hours trading, and we break it down into even sessions for you. You know, the first hour, midday, last hour, last 2 minutes. Then the closing cross, which takes the imbalances of, you know, the market and limit on close orders, and then does again a single stock auction trade, and then you have after hours. So we split those up into different buckets, and then within those buckets, right, once you go inside those buckets, we go further and, you know, look at the VWAPs, look at the, you know, dark pool trading. So you have all this granular details, which consists of actually reading all the trade tape information. So we don't have enough to, you know, we could go over this next week. But, you know, once you go into the VWAP, then we give you other stats, you know, with volume bursts. You could see here minute by minute, we analyze the trades within the minute, and then anything within that minute that looks, that's, you know, noteworthy or unusual, or some kind of something might have happened, we will, you know, put it in here for further analysis.
All right, perfect. I did while you were talking about it, I did go to our stocks. It's amazing how much information well,
Yeah.
you and the team have built for Market Chameleon. But if you go into the stock screeners under technicals, you can
Yeah.
actually screen. You can look at the 14-day RSI. You can analyze that relative to the highest, stocks trading above their 52-week high. I mean, it was everything he was looking for, and you can screen right in the stock screener. So I put that link in the chat. You can go and play around with it if
Okay,
that's
so maybe we'll
something you're.
review next week. Yeah,
Yeah, well, we can look at it next week, but I was giving it to the individual who's asking today. Also, next week we have our monthly interactive brokers webinar, and I will put that into the chat so everyone can register for that. You have to do that on their site, and that's going to involve volatility liens, I think.
yeah, implied volatility liens. That's going to be on Tuesday. Got to register with Interactive Brokers, and we'll be covering where these are analytics that we created, and it'll show up on the options chain. And I think that for any options trader, it's a valuable tool, um, especially when you're trying to analyze the options chain, looking for options and, perhaps to buy or sell, and you want to see what other people are doing or where there's a specific lean or imbalance of demand and supply. This helps, with detecting those types of situations. So that will be on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. And, you do have to register with Interactive Brokers. They're hosting that event.
Perfect. Great job, D. You have a great trading day, everybody.